thoughts on the overall Eastern Conference, right? That's been a topic we've discussed, specifically me and Daryl, specifically with the East. I think we both kind of agreed now. The Cavs are number one. The Knicks with their new coach are number two. We were interested to see who the coach would be, and I think me and Daryl are of agreement that this was probably the best hire that they could get, and this puts the Knicks at two. And then we're split down on number three. I'm going with the Magic. Daryl's gone with the Pistons. We don't know what Ramon thinks about this quite yet.
Detroit.
Okay, so he's going with Detroit. So what is your overall look at the Eastern Conference? Daryl's even brought up Boston could be fourth or fifth. I don't really know if Boston is set on wanting to win that much this year. So where are you looking at when it comes to the overall East right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really haven't thought too much about it, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Coming into it, I definitely think that Cleveland's got to be the number one seed just because of what they did last year, and I think they pretty much brought the same group back, and the Eastern Conference wide open. So them in New York definitely feel like 1-2. I'd say Orlando's probably 3 for me. I love the Desmond Bane pickup, and I think the Tyus Jones pickup is also incredible as well because that's another guy that can actually, get into the paint. And I think what he's really good at is he played with Desmond Bane back in Memphis, so they got that chemistry. And so people probably don't think about that too much because he was just with the Phoenix Suns, but Tyus Jones was really good with Memphis as their backup point guard. So I think that's going to be just instant chemistry right there. And Desmond Bane, I love Desmond Bane's game, obviously from Indiana, a really good player. But I think that's what the Magic needed, and if they would have been healthy last year, if Wagner and Boncaro never got hurt with those oblique injuries, they kind of got back to back. Who knows how high they would have finished in the Eastern Conference? But I feel like that's a very talented group, and so I think they're going to be right there in the mix in that 3-4 spot. Detroit, to me, I think Detroit's good, but I also feel like some of the moves they've made, I need to see a little bit more from them because I thought Dennis Schroeder was a huge part of the reason why they were so good last year in the playoffs. And losing him and trading him, I think, in a sign and trade or whatever they're going to do with Sacramento. I think he's going to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Losing him, I think it sounds crazy, but I feel like he was really important to what they did. And not getting Jaden Ivey that playoff experience, I think that's a bit of a bummer. Obviously, it's kind of similar to what the Pacers did with Mathurin. Obviously, didn't have him for the playoffs. But, I think Cade Cunningham is really good, though. So, the Hawks, to me, are also a sleeper team. I think that they made some terrific moves. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta has a higher seed than Detroit. I think that could be kind of like your 4-5. And then Milwaukee, I hate Milwaukee. I think Indiana might have a higher seed than Milwaukee. That sounds crazy, but who's their point guard? Kevin Porter Jr.? Okay, you can me with that one.
I said the exact same thing.
Well, I said the same thing about Atlanta, right? I think I actually really do like what Atlanta did, but I think, and Daryl's brought it up, I think the big question mark there is going to be Porzingis. If Porzingis can play. What did you say? 55 games or whatever?
I said book it now. 55, no more than 55. He won't play any more than 55.
He should come off the bench. He shouldn't start. I think I'd bring him off the bench.
Contract year, right? So you know how it is in the NBA, Alex. It's contract year.
You're right.
I can't come off the bench and make money. I've got to be in that lineup, and I think that's going to put him in harm's way. He's a fragile guy, and to your point, the best thing for Atlanta would be him coming off the bench and them not depending on him as a player. Because he's going to let them down probably around middle to late January.
Mm-hmm. I would start a Kongwu. I really would. I would start a Kongwu and Jalen Johnson.
I love a Kongwu.
Yeah.
I've always liked defense.
Yeah. I mean, you got rid of Clint Capella for a reason. I think just bring KP off the bench and kind of use him as a 6-man. I mean, they've obviously made some really good moves. I love the Nickeil Alexander-Walker pickup. And I also think Luke Kennard's a very nice, solid pickup, too, as a backup guy that can shoot for you. So, I mean, they've been doing some good stuff. Trae Young, I said it last year. People kind of gave me crap, but I was he's kind of becoming under the radar a little bit because everybody loves to hate on him. They're he's not good enough. He can't do this. I mean, this is one of the most gifted offensive players at the point guard position in the league. He don't play no defense. I mean, I'll give you that much. He sucks on defense.
And that's a challenge for him, right? Because the attention he brings himself. And I said that on our last podcast. I spoke exactly to that. I said, Atlanta's the place where careers go to die, right? And I haven't seen Trae Young do anything for any teammate other than himself in the 7 or 8 years he's been in Atlanta. That's my issue with Trae Young. It seems as though he's about Trae Young, and the push for him to become an all-star is at a fever pitch right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if that guy leads the league in point guard shots per game this coming season. It would not surprise me.
Ramon, what's your overall thoughts there? I saw you were trying to get a word in.
I can't ever put an Atlanta team led by Trae Young very high. Like a point guard who doesn't defend and can't lead, I can't back your team. Like those are maybe two of the biggest things I need out of my point. Like you don't defend, you don't lead well, you're shot first. I can't see a team that you're the leader of succeeding at a high rate.
It's a good point. I mean, it's fair. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it is fair. Like,
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton, like, I think what he did last year defensively, like, I think he deserves a lot of credit because he's not an on-ball defender, but he was unbelievable as an off-ball defender, constantly like being in the right spot at the right time, and he used his 6'5", length to be effective. Like
instincts.
Yes,
and his effort was good.
Yeah. And Trae Young, like, he's gonna have to buy in on that end a little bit more if they're gonna have any success. I mean, I know they've done a great job like getting Dyson Daniels around him, and of course like Zachary Ricochet. Like they've got defensive minded players around him, but like you can only do so much, right? And other guys are gonna have to step up. Like I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker could be a very nice, piece next to him, but I could also see them at times closing games with him on the bench and Nickeil Alexander-Walker out there for the final defensive possession.
And how will that go? How will that go?
Hey, if Halliburton can do it, do it.
But you're talking ego, right? You're talking Trae Young and Tyrese have different mindsets, right?
Yeah.
And you see it on the floor, right? Both of them are healthy offensively. Get it. But, man, I'll tell you, to that point, I love the fact that Tyrese made a decision in the offseason last year after Boston swept us. And he says, you know what? I'm going to be better. He's not Gary Payton, but, man, that effort and those, to your point, Alex, those off-ball steals and playing those passing lanes, man, that's going to be missed a lot as well this coming season.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like, as much as people like to talk about how Matherin's a better on-ball defender than Tyrese, like, in terms of off-ball and instincts, like, Matherin's nowhere close to that.
Yeah.
And just think about how many times Halliburton had block shots. There was at least 2 or 3 games this year where he had 3 block shots in a game, and, I asked him about it one time after one of the games, and he was like clapping, and he was like, thanks for noticing, Alex. I'm trying to get up there into like the top 5 of all-time block leaders for the Pacers. And now that Turner's gone, I mean, he's definitely got a chance to crack his way up there, but this one season off is going to kill him. So I just thought it was funny, but like, he really did a good job. Like I think that he bought in defensively, and the whole team did. Like once Nembhard and Nesmith got back, you could just tell like their defensive level just went through the roof in terms of like buying in on that side of things. And that's why they were a top 10 defense the last, however many months. I mean, the last 4 or 5 months of the season. So, I mean, that's one thing I think Atlanta will have a challenge with is defense. But I do like Quinn Snyder a lot. I think he's a really good coach.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way about Atlanta, though. I think Atlanta could shock a lot of people. And then the other team that I'm keeping an eye on, especially after they just got Cam Whitmore, is Washington. I think Washington can make the play-in with the veterans, with the rookies. I think they've got the best mix possible to make the play-in. I like Alex Sarr a lot. I think this Washington team definitely has a shot. Ramon, what were you going to say?
Now, one thing you guys were talking about with Ben and with Trae, when you're bad as an off-ball defender, you're a bad communicator also. And that's an issue, especially when you're in a leadership position. Hallie's a great communicator. And that helps him as an off-ball defender. He can see cuts. I got your help. He's talking the game. When you're an on-ball defender, you're not as vocal. And if you're off-ball and you're bad, you're not communicating. So you're not on the string with everyone else. And that string is broke. And now there's a bigger gap than what we even think in that defense.
I think that's a good point, too, because like as you talked about with Hallie, he's always talking, he's always communicating. And then you got the flip, and Ben's so focused on his guy, and that instinct isn't there, right? It's not there like it is with Tyrese. And I think that's something to watch, this coming season as well. How that communication is going to be, because you don't have your floor general, right? So someone's got to step up, not just Nembhard. Other players have to pick their game up of communication. And that's why I was so disappointed in losing Miles, because Miles cleaned up a lot of mistakes in the back end, right? And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that first part of the season goes, how that back end communication is, especially like to your point, Alex, you got Ben in the game, and you've got, say, maybe Furpies in the game, and you've got, say, Nembhard in the game, and you're basically your low 3. That's gonna be interesting. See
Yeah.
what happens there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. I'm trying to figure out where I think the Pacers land in the Eastern Conference. Like, I think they can still, I think they'll still make the playoffs. I do.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, if they're going to be like six. I feel like six kind of feels like their ceiling, but probably more in like the 7, 8 range, play-in range, probably host a home playing game. But Washington, I don't know where they're going to land at either because I do like what they're doing in Washington. I think that when you
Hmm.
go to rebuild a team, like this is the perfect way to do it. And they've gone out there and really addressed the veterans that are very like smart veterans that are going to like lead the young players how to play, like CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart, Kelly Olynyk. Like these are guys that have been in the league for a very long time. They've seen a lot of crap, and they're going to know how to, what it takes to come in every single
Yeah.
day. And I think that's kind of what the Pacers did when they went through their rebuild. It wasn't just, hey, let's just strip it all down and bring all these young guys in. Because when you do that and there's no culture, I think it just completely destroys your team. But you bring in like James Johnson, TJ McConnell still there. Obviously, they still had Miles Turner had been around for a while. You bring in Pascal, Bruce Brown. Like they had guys that had like understood what it takes to win, and you kind of need that when you're building a young team. So as young as Washington is, with all those guys like Keontae George and Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sarr and Bub Carrington, like that group, like they're going to need vets that teach them the way and kind of
Yeah.
lead them. And so I think that they're doing a great job there. We'll see what happens if they make moves at the deadline to like shed some of that salary, but they're going to have close to $90 million in salary next year, is what they're saying. So, like that's huge for trying to build something. I don't know who's going to want to go to Washington, but having that flexibility when you see how limited cap space has been throughout the last couple of years in free agency, like that's going to be huge. So, they could maybe get a 10 seed. That would be interesting to me. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the year that you probably want it. I think another year of not being good would probably be
Yeah.
better for them in terms of their draft picks and getting more talent. But yeah, I don't know. I think Indiana, they're like, if I'm looking at Indiana though against the Eastern Conference, like them and Boston probably are like under the radar, but I still think they're going to be more competitive than people realize.
Yeah, I think I don't know how to gauge Boston right now. I think that's my biggest question mark. Like Indiana, I could see maybe being the 5 seed. Just depending on injuries, things shake out. I think Boston's like the interesting one. I've said it on the pod. Daryl's disagreed with me, but I'm like, if they're a couple games above 500, I could see Stevens being like, all right, because they've already said they're interested in removing Simons. I'm like, if they're 2 games above the deadline, who says they just are like, forget it? Let's try to dip into the lottery, not high in the lottery, but 12, 13. Like, I think Boston really just, they saw Tatum go down and they had to make moves because of the second apron. I get that. But I think it's also like, if they're barely above 500, I don't see them trying to just kind of hold on and get into the playoffs at that point. Like, I think Boston's always been a team of if it's dying, if the ship's going down, let's just completely go down at that point. Not trade Brown, but let's try to be as worse as possible until we can get our star back at this point.
But if you bring your star back, yeah, comes back. Those contracts are still in flux.
Mm-hmm.
So Boston is not a town that says, "Oh, let's just try and get in this lottery." That's a winning town. So 44 games can get you to the Eastern Conference Finals. I
Mhm.
mean, if things fall right. So I don't know. I think Boston gives everything they've got all year, and it wouldn't surprise me if they make another move to try to level some things out. But yeah, their salaries are an issue, but I think they're going to still do what they can to go as far as they can because the people in Boston probably deserve probably to it. They deserve that.
Their center position is probably the biggest question mark for me because they've lost a lot
Cornette,
of guys.
Cornette,
But
yeah,
they lost Cornette. They traded Kristaps Porzingis. Al Horford has not confirmed he's coming back. I think if Horford comes back, it makes me feel a lot better about them. But you still got Jalen Brown and Derek White, and you still have uh, Pritchard,
Pritchard.
who was awesome last year, and I think Sam Hauser's a good player. Like they still have pieces, and I think Anthony Simons is actually a good pickup. Like that's a guy that can score for them. I know they're going
Yeah.
to miss Tatum, but Anthony Simons is a scorer. Like that
Yeah,
guy can put the ball in the basket. So it's not like they just traded away Drew Holiday for nothing. And Drew Holiday last year was not good. I mean, let's be honest. Like
yeah.
he had moments, but like he offensively had taken a big dip. Defensively wasn't the same as he used to be, and
Lost
he's
a step. Lost a step.
lost it. And it's a lot
Lucky
of
lost a
money.
step. Yeah.
A lot of money. Still 3 years left on that deal. Yeah, when they give him that extension last year, I was like, "Ooh, that's a big extension right there for a guy that's getting older." I mean, I know you want to keep your core together, but I thought it was a great move by the Celtics to get rid of him. And so, they've still got enough talent on that team to win 45 games
Yeah.
and be a 4 seed, and probably they could probably upset somebody just because they have that experience with the guys that have already been there versus a young team like Detroit or Orlando who hasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of Detroit, Ivy coming back. You talked about Schroeder, them allowing Schroeder to leave. That's a big reason why they allowed Schroeder to leave, thinking
Mm.
Ivy's going to come back, right? And they want to ensure they give Ivy every opportunity to either be the guy that they thought he was when they drafted him with the fifth pick, or make the decision to say, okay, after your injury, we're gonna do something different because they've got a lot of cap space. They had a lot of cap space as well going into the off season, and before they picked up Jimmy Neutron, which I loved. Listen, I know no one's giving Jimmy Neutron credit, but I'm telling you, he's already open. He's gonna be open. Cade Cunningham is gonna get him open, and he's a knockdown shooter. He's not gonna defend an empty chair. But I'm gonna tell you, he's gonna knock down shots. Hey, look out for Jimmy Neutron, man.
Duncan Robinson, baby. Just in case people didn't know who you were talking about. I'm glad he's back in Michigan. You got Karis
Yeah,
LeVert there too, right? And
yeah,
Karis
Michigan
LeVert,
kid, yeah.
it's too bad they couldn't keep Tim Hardaway Jr. I would love to just get that whole Michigan team there to be their backup, second
Yeah.
unit.
And I would definitely hope they lose.
You don't know, but Ramon's an Ohio State fan, so there's a lot of hate for Michigan on this pod. Alex, I do want to thank you once again. We're starting to wrap up here, but I do want to thank you for coming on. It's awesome to have you on. Where can people check out your podcast as well if you want to do a little promotion?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our podcast is called Setting the Pace. So if you just type in Setting the Pace on your Google search or podcast store, we'll be right there and you can find us and check us out. Like I said, we try to do Monday through Friday. So we got some stuff coming up. Obviously, the Jay Huff trade is a big talking point. So we'll be doing that tonight, diving into that. We have a guest from Memphis coming on to talk with us about that. And then we have a mailbag week coming up basically for everybody. So it's kind of crazy going through this playoff run. I think we did gain quite a few more followers and listeners. So that was really fun to see. And so we had plenty of questions to talk about this Pacers team moving forward. So have plenty of mailbag podcast questions answered there. But just setting the pace, a Pacers podcast. If you want to find me, I'm at Alex Golden NBA on Twitter. It's where I'm usually mostly active at. And I usually post the show from there as well. So that way you can see all the links to that. And we're not on YouTube a ton just because we get paid from the audio side versus the video side right now. So if I put it on YouTube, you can look at my handsome face. That's about the only thing that you get from the benefit there. But no, I'm kidding. But honestly, like the audio side is just a lot easier. So that's why I usually have all my episodes on there. But we're, on YouTube as well if you want to look up Setting the Pace, a Pacers podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely am better on YouTube than on the audio side, but I think, I worked with audio all the time in high school because I went to Warren and they did have a radio program, but since I've gotten out of there, have been at IU East, I've been more on the TV side of things. Ramon, Daryl, if you guys have any questions, last couple of questions you want to ask, go ahead and ask those, and then we can kind of wrap things up.
I've got one. I want to get your take on two teams we haven't spoke about in the East: Philadelphia and Miami. I say they're in purgatory, both teams right now, because in Philly you got guys coming off of injuries, right? In Miami, you're not sure if they're going to be able to unload their forward or not, and see if they can get the young man from Golden State. Depending on how that goes, how does that affect Bam Adebayo? Obviously, you lost Duncan Robinson. I think those two teams are in purgatory. If you had to pick one of them, which team would you say would be in the playoff picture come March?
You want me to go, or you want Ramon to go, or
okay? No, just however.
I feel like I've been hogging the mic, so I don't want to.
Oh, I mean, I can go. I think Miami would have a better shot, and I say this because Joel's not going to play. I say the same. We had a discussion about the Clippers too. We were talking about the Clippers and the Lakers like an episode ago, and I said the Clippers may make the playoffs.
You always find a way to add something about the Lakers.
No. I'm just giving an example. The Clippers and the Sixers. No. I'm not even gonna bring them up. The Clippers and the Sixers, I feel like, are the same team to me. Kawhi will get injured, Joel will get injured, and then you're stuck with George and Maxey. And then on the Clippers side, you've got just Harden there, and then I guess Zubac. But I think Miami will have the better shot because I also think at this point it looks like Miami will be the ones to land Kuminga, either them or Chicago. It looks like. So I would say Miami. I think they'll just be healthier. I don't think Paul George is going to get any better. If anything, I think he's going to continue to get worse. I really do like Maxey. I don't think Maxey's bad at all. And VJ Edgecombe just put 28 up in the summer league, so he's going to be good too. But that's the
Easy.
summer
It's
league.
summer
That's
league.
the
It's
summer
summer
league.
league.
I get it. But I'm going to say Miami right now because I just don't buy Philadelphia at this moment. I don't think Embiid can stay healthy. Paul George is going to get worse, and I think it's going to be hard for Maxey to carry the load. Ramon, what are you going with?
Isaiah, I just hit 40 in the 40 and over men's league.
Okay, hey,
Give me
hey,
some love too,
there you
right?
go, there you go.
I think I think this is a slow motion race in reverse. I don't think either team. I don't have faith in either one being anything.
Fair enough.
I think the Miami culture, the Miami way, the Miami whatever. I think that it is
Culture.
deteriorated and is going in the opposite direction, and they need to blow it up and rebuild it.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, you can't, if you put your money on Embiid, you might as well just throw your money out the window and hope that it invests that way. It's going to gain some traction that way. Paul George, as talented as he at this point is a better podcaster than he is a basketball player. and I like Maxey, so I can't say nothing bad about him. So that's my take.
Okay, I'll throw my 2 cents in real quick. I definitely think that the ceiling is much higher for Philadelphia because they have so much more talent.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at Miami, like who's the best player? Bam Adebayo, who's next? Tyler Hero? Like, okay. Like what's Tyler Hero really doing for me? Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, like that's screaming 8 seed. That is not screaming excitement. Where I can see like Tyrese Maxey, like let's be honest, like I'm gonna give Embiid a bit of the benefit of the doubt just because we're talking about a former MVP of the league.
Mhm.
He missed a lot of the year last year. Paul George didn't play at all, really. So they've been hearing a lot of this in their ear. I think they're going to come back a little bit more motivated. And of course, McCain had a really good season last year in the short stint that he played. Edgecombe, I think he's got potential. But yeah, I just think there's way more talent on that roster. And the Eastern Conference is not that good.
Yeah.
And so if they can just figure it out a little bit, like we're probably not giving them enough credit to be a top 3 seed. Like they could literally do that if they can figure out how to stay healthy. Now, I'm not saying they're going to stay healthy because every time you say that about Joel Embiid, it never happens. But even without Joel Embiid, I mean, Andre Drummond with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey in that group, like they can still win games in the Eastern Conference. Like that to me is like why I'm not going to write them off. But with like Miami, I think Ramon's dead on. I think they need to trade a lot of it and just blow it up. Like Khalil Ware is your big man moving forward. I would trade Bam Adebayo. I would see what he can get you on the open market. And I mentioned this on Setting the Pace. I'm like, if I'm the Pacers, I'm calling about Bam Adebayo every day because I think that could be a perfect fit next to Siakam. You've got all your picks. You got Mathurin. You got Walker. You got other pieces that can go out there salary-wise and fill it up. But I just think you got to look at what the future is for Miami. And right now, they seem like they're just walking into a dead end. And I just don't see it with that group. I like Spoelstra. I think he's a great coach. But what are they going to do? I mean, there's been talks about them trading for Jonathan Kuminga. Like, okay, I like Kuminga, but like, he's kind of similar to Mathurin in that regard. And now you're just going to go out there and pay a guy $35+ million, whatever you're going to give him, like a huge contract to when he's not really proven himself yet. I just think it's kind of risky. And I don't like the direction they're heading. And I think if you make the Kuminga move, I would just build from the ground up with Kuminga and Khalil Ware, Davion Mitchell, and see what you have. But trade Hero, trade Bam. They already got rid of Duncan Robinson. I don't see anything exciting about that team right there.
No, that's fair. And I think for me, I'm probably gambling more on Philly doesn't stay healthy again. But I think that's a good point, right? I think Philly does have the potential to be in the top 3 of the East. I think I think a lot of people saw how last season went. And I think last year there was more stock in them to be a contender, a higher seed, and then it completely went downhill. So I think for me, it's going to be a sit and watch. Whereas they could miss the playoffs again, and Miami once again sneaks into the play-in. When I say ceiling, I think that is Miami's ceiling. And I got on them after the KD trade. I was like, here you go again. They're always in these trade rumors for guys, and then they miss out on them, and they ended up with Kyle Lowry next to Jimmy Butler. That was their big pairing. So I've definitely I've been a Miami naysayer, but I think right now in this moment, I could see Miami squealing out into the play-in and seeing Philly drop it just because their floor could be very low if Embiid and Paul George don't come back healthy. Does anyone else have some questions for Alex or just anything else about the Eastern Conference? Or Alex, if you have something.
I feel like we've covered everything in terms of almost every team. We didn't talk about the Hornets, but I don't really want to sit here and talk about the Hornets.
No, I don't.
None to talk about.
We had a little dialogue about just LaMelo. Can he be a leader? Can he be a number one option? And I think all of us are just kind of like he can't stay healthy. So I think that's kind of where the line draws up for them. And then the players they've tried to get around him are having their off the court issues. So it's just like there's not much there.
They just keep grabbing every guard. They don't have any big men. I'm like,
I know. They got Sexton, but
Sexton, Spencer Dinwiddie, Con Knipple. Like, I'm just laughing at their draft. Like, I mean, they got some good players in their draft, Liam McNeely, things like that. But like, I don't really know what the direction of that team is. I like Brandon Miller a lot. I think I'm also in the boat of I would probably trade LaMelo Ball if I were them. I think he would benefit from a trade and going somewhere special. I don't know where that fit is, but like,
I think he needs to go somewhere where he needs to go. In a place where a team has a established leader, because if LaMelo Ball is your leader, you're a failed team. He's disrespectful to the game. He's disrespectful to the team that he plays with. He just doesn't play like he cares. I think he led all point guards last year in shot attempts. And I'm telling you, he just looks like a very talented, selfish player to me.
Yeah.
We have already talked enough about the Hornets.
Hey, you know what would be interesting, though? A LaMelo Ball for Bam Adebayo swap. That would be interesting to me.
Oh, no, it wouldn't. Pat Riley would be at his
he would, yeah.
I would love to see him with Spoelstra. That would be exciting.
Well, I mean, we talk about
in a closed room. I think
we talk about structure. And I know Ramon and Daryl do not buy the Miami culture, and at this point I don't either. But I think you do put him in a spot like Miami. I mean, it kind of gives him the structure that LaMelo would probably need to succeed in the league. And I saw a clip, I think it was Austin Rivers' podcast, where they were having this debate about LaMelo and Tyrese. This is like last year after the Eastern Conference Finals.
There's no debate. I saw that. There's no debate.
No, and but I think if LaMelo's in the right structure, and I think Spoelstra is a really good coach, regardless of Pat Riley at this point. I think Spoelstra is that good of a head coach where if you surround him against the right people and Spoelstra is his head coach, I could see LaMelo being very, 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 very good because I think he has the potential to be like really
He's
good.
A talented player. He's a
very talented player.
He just doesn't respect the game, man. Look his body language on the floor. How gallivants down the court when he wants to. Don't put him in the same breath as Tyrese Halliburton.
I wasn't. I was just
that's what I'm saying. They did it on the podcast. I saw that. And that's why I don't watch a lot of those podcasts because of just that. I'll start watching Alex more, of course. But these guys, but seriously, these guys, man, it just come on. They're just chapping away, man. I don't know. I can't see how someone could actually say LaMelo Ball over Tyrese Halliburton.
No. I would agree. I do.
You got more tattoos. You got more tattoos, though.
I think one other team that we probably didn't talk about enough for LaMelo that can make some sense is Milwaukee. I mean, they definitely need a point guard. Giannis is clearly the best player. Doc Rivers, old school head coach. Like, if you had LaMelo, Giannis, and Miles as your big three, some kind of combination of Kyle Kuzma, whatever other players they have there to make the salary fit.
Well, Portis is there. So
get some bigs over in Charlotte. That could make some sense. I mean, I just really know what LaMelo is going to actually get you. I don't think there's a lot of teams that are going to be interested, but Milwaukee to me seems like a very desperate team that would gut whatever they have.
They got to do something. They got to do something else because if they go in paying Dame and Miles a combination $49 million a year, they've got to do something else, right?
Yeah. What a terrible move by the Bucks. I'm sorry, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That was because we took the Greek Freaks ball 2 years ago. They're pissed at that. That ball is in Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Gamers Fieldhouse. They're still pissed about it, and they say, "Let's show the Pacers who the boss is." That's what this deal is all about.
Oh, man.
Well, I think that about covers it. We're not talking about Brooklyn on this pod. Jesus, we're not even going to get into that. I think that is going to do it, though. Alex, once again, I appreciate you for not only responding to the email. It took us a minute to get this set up, but it was so awesome to have you on. We definitely got to have you back on, and one of us or all of us need to come on your podcast as well and be there for that. But we do appreciate you coming on, folks. That is going to do it for this episode of the Game Time Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.